Time to finish up this 76 Super Reverb, and it got recapped. I've used the new MOD caps, which are physically smaller and quite a bit less expensive than the F&Ts, but so far they seem to be quite good, and they're rated for 105 degrees rather than the 85 of the F&Ts. You can see I've got a date here written for when I did the recap, and here are the bulging, leaking ends of the originals. So yeah, it definitely needed to be recapped. Those will go back with the amp because collectors are insane, but I hope to God no one ever puts them back. The rest of the amp's pretty straightforward. I still have to get the permanent power cable installed. The one that I ordered for this amp ended up using another one, so I'll get another power cable tomorrow. The rest of the caps, electrolytics were changed, a combination of Vishays, which you can see here and here, and here. And the MODs, the mods, which are here, 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 and here. Also two down here that you can't see, as done in 76. The pots needed cleaning. Some of the hardware was loose. Because the jacks had broken loose, the solder joints broke when I retightened them, so those all got reflowed. That's pretty common stuff. No big deal on that. No big issue with the wax on the board on this one, which is kind of a miracle. Usually these things have all kinds of background static and buzz and stuff, but this doesn't. This era does have the wrong taper volume treble and bass pots, so you have to turn the treble up a bit and keep the bass down a bit, otherwise it gets pretty woofy, but it's sounding pretty nice. And I replaced the fuse holder cap because the old one was broken. Let me hook this up to the reverb cables and such, and let's hear it. All right, here's the normal channel with the 335. You know, people pay a lot of extra money for the black panel era up through late 67, and I get it, they look better, and the circuits were a little bit better, but even these, late 70s Fenders, this is a 76, and all I've changed is just electrolytic caps and clean stuff and given it a hardware tightening. It's a really good sounding amp. Does it sound like a 65 Super Reverb? No. But it's a really good sounding amp, and you could change. People talk too much about back facing as far as bias changes. That's not that crucial. If you really want to get this thing dialed in, you would just change the tone stack and volume pots to be the correct taper. That would get you most of the way there. And I'm going to decrease the 10 nanofarad input coupling cap on the phase inverter to a 3.3 nanofarad once that part arrives. I forgot to mention that. Other than that, it's a really, really good sounding amp. It just gets a little woofy with that excess lows from that too large a cap on the input of the phase inverter. Let's go to the reverb channel. Let's test the vibrato. All that's sounding just fine. The master volume does work. This is not the tank that belongs to the amp. There's that woofiness. I will test the tank that the amp came with, but it is attached into the head, of course. This came in head form, and I'm a little concerned that the reverb will be buzzing as a result. Since the cabinet has really been refinished kind of awfully, and heads are not the best format for reverb, I did advise the owner to get it put in a larger head so that the reverb tank will be farther from the transformers, or to get an actual super reverb cabinet to put this in. And he said he's going to, but let me put it in the cabinet temporarily. We'll see how bad it is. Well, I had forgotten, because it's been out of the cabinet for a bit, that the cabinet is not actually original. Someone made this for this amp. I don't think it's original. If so, it's had a hard life and had a lot of rework done. But it doesn't have any support. You know, the old cleats would have gone up here. And so the chassis, unless it's screwed in place, has no support, and it's too early to screw it in place. I don't want to pinch the temporary power cable. But the old reverb tank, which apparently is nailed and taped in the bag to the cabinet, is actually working without a bunch of hum. Let's see, still seems a little bit noisier than I'd like. Which knob is that? This one. Let's turn it up. It's a bit more buzz in the background than there would if the cabinet were if the reverb were farther away. But it's certainly better. It's certainly better than I've heard on many heads that have reverb tanks. Dr. Z's in particular are real subject to that. It's the distance from the tank to the power transformer, typically. But given the condition it was in when it came in, which was on the verge of catching on fire with a missing fuse holder, or damaged fuse cap rather, and a lot of hard use in its life, I think it's sounding really good. All the tubes seem just fine. It's biased just fine. So in larger things, the owner dodged the bullet, because the repair on this could easily have been much higher. As it is, it's going to be a fairly modest restoration bill, which means that he could put this in an actual nice cabinet, head or combo. It's not my call, but I think an amp that sounds this good should look better than Mr. Roper's living room panels.